All right, so welcome to the next video here. We're going to be talking about market transition periods. I think, Alan, I'll just have you go straight into it, to be honest. We don't need to read that first slide.
All right. Every market goes a transition, right? It's cyclical. Like every economy, it's what's that like economic cycle, right? There's market cycles, et cetera. Things come and change, right? Now, because things change, it creates opportunity and what's the difference what's like the opposite word of opportunity? What would you say? Like destruction, I guess. It creates opportunity for some and then destruction for others, right? Meaning that let's say you know if you look back at the last century, right? Like let's say early 1900s, you had like two car companies, right? You had like Ford and GM, we talked about previously. So you had two car companies, right? For a very long time, that was it, right? Like if you look at progress was very slow, and then you got Toyota, Honda, Mitsubishi, all these companies coming. Now you got Tesla and like these other electric companies. So like markets change, right? But that's a good thing because markets change, people can come in. Like you can have a small company like Microsoft come into an era where IBM was like this juggernaut. Like if people don't realize how big IBM was. I mean, IBM was like the monster of monsters back in the day as far as the size goes, right? And Microsoft like was this small, insignificant company, right? But because of the market transition period and Bill Gates' intelligence to be able to spot market transition periods and act on it, he capitalized and built Microsoft in one of the most valuable companies. So in this video, we're going to talk about market transition periods, how why the book offer, why the $5 offers are, the next big thing for the next few years. I would say the next 2 to 3 years, that's going to be the thing in the market, and why webinars fell off and how they work. So Robert, why don't you get us started with this beautiful slide here and explain some of the concepts here in your
Yeah, sure.
way.
So obviously, transitioning has to do with timing. So if you're able to be in the right place at the right time, you're able to do really well with that. And so one of the things that Alan actually pointed out is like if you look at Shopify, one of the big reasons that they succeeded was because it wasn't because Shopify was Shopify or whatever. It was because of, they did their stuff right, but there were also some other stars that aligned for them. So I think there was some other Shopify platforms before them, right? Like what were they
Yeah.
called?
Yeah, so there was like eBay selling was hot for a little bit. There was like Xcart. There was
Yeah,
like I think the other one's like called Magento.
yeah.
There's a bunch of these other guys out there, but none of these other guys align with these other companies here, right? Shopify was the only company smart enough to align with the rest of these other companies. So go ahead, Robert, continue.
Yeah, so you had Shopify, right? Which they didn't necessarily offer something new, right? Like you, Alan was just pointing out a couple of other companies
Yeah,
that were effectively selling or offering a similar thing. But you have
yeah,
Shopify, then you take
yeah,
Alibaba. Go ahead.
Shopify just copied these other guys in terms of features and
Yeah,
simplified it. That's all they did. Yeah.
yeah. So they did that, but actually one thing they did do well is they did show people the opportunity of combining all these things, right? So you have Alibaba, for example, and then you add the simple credit card processing with Stripe, and then you have Facebook ads. So with these four things, you basically have a drop shipping business, right? You have Shopify, you have Alibaba, where you can just go on and grab products from China, and like you don't have to order 1,000 of them. You can just have one customer order from you, and you just shoot their order over to the supplier in China. They drop ship it to you, and you accept payment through Stripes, and you would get your customer through Facebook ads, right? So Shopify was just a really simple software in that respect. That they weren't really doing anything that other people weren't doing, but they aligned with the stars here. And I think what they did well was they even had a webinar that they were actually showing people, how to do
Ah,
this. So
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I
Interesting.
think that's why it took off. But in a similar fashion, you had the same thing if you look at ClickFunnels, which if you think about maybe the coaching consulting business, I would say that's probably where they've seen a lot of their success, which is similar, right? Because people, I mean, before ClickFunnels, it was sure similar software was around, but it wasn't marketed to the point where everybody knew about it. So to put everything together that you needed in order to sell, through a webinar or that you'd sell a book or whatever, it was like you had to go get, we talk about components. You'd have to go get components from a bunch of different places. Like you had to get servers, you had to get domain names, you had to get the actual page builder, you had to process the
Oh yeah.
payments. You had all these things from different places. So with ClickFunnels and then combining, again, Stripe and Facebook to get clients, coaching consulting was definitely one industry where the stars aligned, and that's why you see so many coaches and consultants these days.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is like, for example, like a lot of people like, like even me, I was kind of resistant to ClickFunnels, right? So like, you before ClickFunnels, if you have to go, even WordPress, you have to get a server, get hosting, upload stuff, configure stuff, use FTP, get themes, change shit. It really made things a lot easier, right? But the thing is, like, if you take out Stripe, then it doesn't work. Then you got to go deal with the bank. You got to like show them a huge bank account to get a merchant account. You got to have holds, all this stuff, right? Stripe is just like you sign up, boom, you got a merchant account, right? But then if you don't have Facebook, then it's like it's useless. So like all these things have to align. Now at the same time, because all these things, it creates a lot of competition, right? So it's like the opposite of good, right? So like it creates a lot of competition. So with webinars, like I started doing webinars in 2014, did really well. There was like a few people doing them. As time went on, more and more people started doing them because look, I mean, it's a 3-page funnel. It's like you got the sign up page, the waiting room, and the webinar. It doesn't take a genius to make one, right? So because of this bottom line here with ClickFunnels, Stripe, and Facebook, people are like banging on webinars. They're like, oh, I'm so great at marketing. No, you're not really great at marketing. You have a right timing. And that's kind of like the dangerous logic to think. And for years I thought, like, man, I'm smart, right? I'm smart. And like, I didn't know, but there was a lot of fucking luck involved, right? And like, once you learn how to recognize luck, you become a lot better. So once you realize this, then you have massive market opportunities. Then you can be like, oh, that's a change. Here's what's going on. And then you can just hop in and kind of dominate,
Absolutely. And we have a couple more examples just to kind of drive this point home. So I'm sure there's a bunch of people watching that recognize this Nokia, was this 3210, 3310? I can't remember, but I certainly remember playing Snake on this thing in middle school.
Yeah. I remember Snake, yeah.
Yeah,
Snake.
I mean, who doesn't? So at that point, this is pre-smartphone. Nokia's market value was 250 billion, and Apple's market value was less than 5 billion. They were just kind of niche company, right?
Dragging, dude. They were dragging.
Yeah, they had like cool computers, and they had their little niche market, but that was it.
But you know why, right? It's because Apple was trying to like build a lot of components in house.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And then they came out with this little thing called the iPhone, which was quite revolutionary at the time, and it kind of changed how we see cell phones. And that's why if you look at the current market value of these companies, when was the last time you used or saw a Nokia phone? I mean, I personally can't remember. And that's why Nokia's market value, when we put this video together, was 19 billion and Apple's was 1.24 trillion. They just had this product, everybody switched over to it, and there's no going back. So the market transitioned, Nokia was not able to keep up, and I don't even know if they even tried, but they're gone. I mean, they're out. That's it.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that Apple wasn't the first to recognize the transition. It was actually Palm Pilot. What Apple recognized was the transition to creating the screen where you can have all in one. You don't have to have these buttons, right?
Yeah.
So there was like, it's not just like one to the next. It's like there's this intermediary, and like the little Palm Pilots, or what was it, like Berry phones, whatever.
BlackBerry.
Like Blackberries. I was just say Raspberry, but that's no, Raspberry is the computer, Raspberry Pi. Blackberries. And so Apple like did it right. Like they kind of like saw one and then jumped off them and jumped off, right? And so if you look at Nokia and if you look at BlackBerry or Palm Pilot, they're like nowhere to be seen, right? And like they're dominating. So same thing in our marketplace now. It's like you got a lot of guys webinars, right? And again, nothing against webinars. Webinars are fantastic if you can get the economics to work. If you can get somebody to sign up, show up, and watch for 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like this is a better model. It's simple, right? So yeah, that's what we use. So let's continue.
Yep, we got
next stream. Yeah, I got more examples here.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so we're gonna make this quick, right? Because we're gonna get to the important transition period in our marketplace, which is attention, right? So another example is GM, right? You look at GM, like General Motors. What they own, Cadillac, Chevrolet, all these great, iconic American companies started in 1908, market cap 53 billion. And they have like a shit ton of factories, and they have 173,000 employees, right? Then you look at Tesla, right? Market cap 73 billion, number of employees 45,000, and they were started in 2003, right? By this one guy, right? Elon Musk.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy to look at those years, by the way. It's like 1908 versus 2003. It's literally like 100-year difference.
Oh, that's actually true. Yeah, yeah. So the cool thing is like, like if you look at it, Tesla is worth more than GM, because the thing is like when Elon Musk started Tesla, he like a lot of these like CEOs of these car companies ridiculed. They were like, oh, that's so stupid. That's so stupid, whatever, right? But he knew there was this transition period taking place,
Yeah.
and he just jumped on it and wrote it out, and like here he is now. His company is worth more than the GM, which is this like like physically much bigger company, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so so you can see another example there. So right, you go ahead. This is your example here. It's pretty good.
Yeah, another one, back in the day, if you wanted to have an e-commerce store, you would have to have your own warehouse. You would have to do the shipping and handling yourself. Sure, you could maybe outsource that, but that was not something that you could do from, your mom's basement when you were 17 years old. Nowadays, you have Amazon FBA. Like you could just buy like 2,000 products from Alibaba, ship them to Amazon. They'll have them for you, and you can sell them on Amazon. And you can sell them, using Facebook ads, whatever you want. But Amazon will actually, they'll keep your products in their warehouse, send it out for you, and take care of all of that. So that whole model has completely changed, right? Now you can be 17 years old in your mom's basement and create this kind of company, which is crazy. Yeah. And another really big one is just the device transition. Like everybody used to have a computer, but unless you really need one these days, you're just on a smartphone. Like you don't, there's so many people that had a computer last year that are not getting one next year. But everybody needs a smartphone, and you can see that in the sales as well. So 2019, you had 260 million computers sold, and you had 1.5 billion smartphones. So what is that, 6 times more?
A lot, yeah.
It's a lot. So our point, Alan, is what?
Yeah, transition periods can be good or bad. Like, I mean, they can destroy industries and they can create industries. And so we're going to tell you the number one thing you need to pay attention to, which is the only thing that basically matters for us. But before that, I forgot about this slide. So what's it look like? So Facebook accounts getting banned. So if you go to any one of these groups, it's like, oh, my account got banned, yada, yada, yada. My own account got banned because one of my consulting clients,
they got banned.
They were doing crypto. They had a crypto webinar, and I forgot my account was linked to theirs, and they got banned. So my account, my personal Facebook account got banned. Ad networks get more and more strict. Why do ad networks get strict? Because you got a shit ton of people doing the same thing, and ad networks are like, okay, this is annoying, got to stop, right?
Yeah, dude. Sorry to cut out, but I have a friend who has a puppy website. He's running ads, and his fucking puppy website was banned from Facebook. It's like, there's no holding back anymore. Everybody's just getting cut. It's weird.
Yeah. And then you got like this constant stream of new competitors. So what's really interesting is like when I started, like there was no YouTube, nothing. Right? Like, I remember the community literally. We'd go to events like Vegas, so there was like 20, 30 of us. We all knew each other by name. Like we're like great friends. And then now, man, it's like I go to an event. It's like I don't know anybody. It's like hundreds of thousands of people, right? So the reason being is like exchange of information, right? Like everybody's getting in the game. Everybody wants to make money online, and they can, right? You got this whole thing like funnel hacking now, like funnel hackers, whatever, and their whole like, mantra is like, find out what works and steal everything, right? Yeah. And then like make it their own funnel. These guys don't know shit about marketing, but that's it's an easy way to get a taste, right? And like if they can copy, they get some things, whatever. You got ad spy tools trying to get your, rip you off. You got others. There's actually like plugins now for Chrome where like you can click and it'll copy your whole funnel, right? Yeah. And then you got cost of advertising keeps going up because like what happens is like, for example, ClickFunnels, they have 101,000 members, right? And like, so it doesn't matter that most of them suck at marketing, right? That's a fact. Most of them suck at marketing. But what happens is like when you have 101,000 of them, like you got 500 here, 500 here, 500 week after week, month after month, trying to get in the marketplace, they drive the cost up, right? Even though it's like The Walking Dead, it's like zombies. They keep coming at you, You got that. And then, cost of advertising goes up, which means you can't acquire customers unless you do this model, of course. And then, attention keeps decreasing. And that's really the most important part of this whole thing right here. So like once you understand this chart in front of you, these are the keys to the kingdom, right? To everything. And like once you understand this is going to change your perspective on everything. And like I said, like before, it's like we're going to talk about things that nobody else talks about. And this is one of those things that nobody talks about and very few people know about. So it's the idea that content production is outpacing content consumption by a huge margin. And here's what I mean, right? So you got YouTube, for example, right? And and before it was like YouTube was isolated to the computer, right? So if you wanted to watch YouTube, you get on the computer, whatever, right? If you wanted to upload videos, you have to have a camera, you have to plug it into that thing, and then like re-render it, upload it. It was like a pain in the ass process to create content, right? Now, you got an iPhone, the new iPhone with 3 cameras that's like they can record like insanely good video, right? So
Yeah.
people just put up a phone on a stand, they're like banging out videos, right? So if you go on YouTube and look at fitness videos, literally thousands of guys, in the gym, iPhone on stand, working out, giving tips, right?
Yeah.
And so content, like people are creating a shit ton of content, right? And the other thing is like now, YouTube, the YouTube app, for example. I'm not talking about just YouTube. This goes for podcasts, music, any type of creative content out there, right? Like you got YouTube on TV, you got YouTube on phones and iPads, you got
I
YouTube.
spend a lot of time on YouTube, man.
Yeah, dude, me too. Yeah, like so, like when I'm doing my Peloton bike, I'm watching documentaries on YouTube, right? So people are creating content, right? And like the thing is though, like the amount of content being created cannot be consumed. And the other reason there's a shit ton of content being created is because there's this whole thing called the content economy now, right? So what I mean by that is like people on YouTube, right? They get paid to create content by YouTube. So YouTube will actually like if you go to like some of these tech reviewers or the review new iPhones
Yeah.
phones, I think that one guy makes like $3 or $4 million a year just reviewing. That's all he does. He has a studio and he has a camera and he tells you what he thinks about the phone.
Yep.
So crazy, right? Like
Yeah.
here's what I think about the phone. I make $4 million a year, right? It's like he gets paid for his opinion, right? But the thing is like this is everywhere, right? So like there's girls doing makeup, they're getting paid. Like there's that one person I think they get paid like $5 million, just for having like makeup tutorials on YouTube. So there's that. Then there's what else, man? Everywhere. It's in every single category, right? But the problem is like the consumption, right? Like there's only 24 hours in a day, and you can only consume so much content. At a given time. Like if you go to a buffet, you can eat only so much food
Yep.
before you can't do it anymore, right? And so that's the problem. So like the other thing is it's getting even worse because like now like there's all these companies like sponsoring influencers on Instagram and YouTube, so like product placement and everything, right? And what happens is that lowers the ability for people to pay attention. And so one of the reasons webinars worked really well is because you could get somebody to register and you could isolate them in this environment where they could watch your sales presentation for 2 hours, and you get them to buy attention. And if you get an isolated attention, then you can convert at high ticket very easily, right? It doesn't take much. That's why like MLMs, I remember being at this gas station and I ran into a guy from high school, and he's like, "What are you up to?" And he's like, "Oh, I have a business, right?" And like he was wearing a suit, and I'm like, "Oh boy." He's like, you guys want to come over for dinner?" And I was like, what's the business? And he wouldn't tell me, right? So it's like MLM. So what MLMs do is like they invite you for dinner and then they lock the door, right? And then they put a chair in front of the door and they make you listen to their damn pitch for 2 hours, right? While you're like eating shitty food. So
Yeah.
so that's what sales is. Like if you want to sell high ticket stuff, attention installation. We just get that attention installation, a component funnel using the awareness process, right? Anyway, so as the ability of the marketplace or of society goes down to the conversion rates decrease a lot. So like how many of you know like when you're on Facebook scrolling, there's an ad after ad after ad of guru shit, like there's a guru like overly excited with a bookshelf or a whiteboard behind them, drawing shit on the board, or like telling you, or like he's in a Lamborghini that's rented or something, right? Like that, it's everywhere, like, and that's considered content. So like for us, content ads don't do really well because you got guys on YouTube, right, like creating content, and they got $30,000 cameras creating content, and you're here sitting there trying to sell some shit in an ad. That's why we do direct ads. So what we have to do is we have to figure a way to get somebody's attention and then build awareness to create attention and isolation in order to convert them to a $5,000 sale. So I think I kind of went off the track a little bit there, but you want to add anything here?
No, it's all good stuff, and I just wanted to add a couple of things here. And number one is like Alan was saying, our attention is limited. There's literally only 24 hours a day. You couldn't watch more YouTube if you wanted to. But you have people like Gary Vee, for example, right? So he'll go do a keynote and they'll record that keynote. That's 30 minutes of content. Then he's got a team. I think his team is literally 30 people on the Gary Vee personal brand, right? You got 30 people that are gonna take that 30-minute piece of content. They're gonna chop it down to five-minute videos. So that's another 25 minutes of content. They're gonna make probably 10 quotes, right, to put on Instagram, etc. And they're gonna do 10, maybe like, not quotes, but some other type of image content. So you can multiply content, but you can't multiply your attention. And so that's why this graph looks the way that it does. And we don't know when this meeting point was between the two, but at some point in the past, there was still, enough content for us to consume, but we're way past that point. So to compete with these guys is crazy because a lot of them are spending more and more time on, their production. And the other thing that I realized, Alan, I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before or if you've realized it, but YouTube is the only platform where you can actually get paid and you don't have to sell anything. Like if all you do is put out videos, like you get enough views, you'll make some money. But if you're an influencer on Instagram, like you still got to put a link to something. You still got to figure out how to sell something. You still got to sell something on Facebook. But YouTube, and I think this is why we're seeing such a rampant just increase in value, both in volume, but also like the quality. Like I watch this one guy, like I'm by no means interested in bartending or cocktails. And I'm like following this dude who's just an awesome guy and he makes these cocktails. And like you said, he's got a $30,000 camera. The shots are amazing. And he'll like tell you the history of the Long Island iced tea and make it and taste it. And I'm like, dude, this is amazing. And it's free. And so like, it's impossible to compete with these guys. And contrary, like another big reason why we're bringing this whole thing up is like, you don't want to be this guy. And so you don't want to be Casey Neistat in the sense that, Casey's awesome. And I subscribed to him before his vlogs started. So he had like 50,000 subscribers when I started following him. I'm a huge fan. My point here is he has a video about burnt out YouTubers. And as he says in the video, it's like, the reason they burn out is due to the unrelenting pressure to post new videos. So our whole thing here is like, number one, you need to understand the concept because it's going to help you make sales. But number two, you don't want this to be your business. You don't want your business to be create a new video because number one, it's unsustainable. You will burn out. And number two, like it's not even like on demand. Like it's kind of like if you wanted water, would you like to do a rain dance or would you like to just have a tap and just twist that tap and water comes out? Because that's what we're going to teach you here.
That's pretty smart. Yeah. So one of the things about like, Casey Neistat here and other guys is that like, in order for you, if you look at, like, for example, let's say you go into a store, right? It can be anything. Like, let's say, I don't know, like give me a shoe store, right? Like before you can, before you go to Foot Locker, right? Shoe store, like you have to get to the store before you can buy something, right? You have to get there before you can buy something. So same thing with like selling online. You have to get somebody's attention before you can actually sell them stuff, right? You can't just sell them stuff without getting their attention. Now, getting their attention, it's tough. And like the thing is, like with these YouTube guys, like Casey Neistat and others, like they're all going crazy because like if you go to YouTube, they're like, oh, I don't make as much money on YouTube anymore. They're all bitching, right? And the reason they're bitching is because it has nothing to do with YouTube. It just has the fact that there's like so many people doing it that there's like not enough people to consume the content for them to make money. So it's like, what's that like saying? Like, if you go into the stock market, if everybody has access to the same information, they do the same thing, then everybody gets the same results unless you're an outlier like one of these like superstar hedge fund manager or you have insider trading, right?
Yeah.
And so right here it's like basically attention and installation, high ticket sales. If you can get somebody to pay attention for 2 hours, very, very, very easy to sell them, right? So like here the idea is like what most people do is like they try to sell high ticket in this noise area, like very noisy area. It doesn't work, right? So what we do is say like, let's not worry about the high ticket sales yet. Let's just worry about,
like we can sell a $5 thing in a noisy environment. We just want to get that relationship.
Yeah, and just for reference, like selling 100 books a day is like we could do in our sleep. I mean, it's easy. Like it's easy. Like it's nothing, right? And so like you go there, and it doesn't matter how noisy it gets. Like they can all be screaming, right? But $5 books easily sold in noisy environment. We can sell a ton of them. And then what happens is like once we have a little bit of their attention, we pair that with the building engineering awareness, and then we move them over to the $5,000 sale. So basically, this is the progression of getting attention to generating a $5,000 sale, right? So we have this concept called value bombs. I love the term. Robert hates the term. I think Robert doesn't like the term because other people use it, but whatever. So the value bombs are like, so typically like on a webinar, it's like if you look at a traditional webinar model, that's basically like a massive value bomb in itself. Like it's a 2 to 3 hour thing, and then it's like at the end, it's like, there's this fake countdown clock. There's I know some guys on webinars, they put shills in there, like fake people. They're like, I just bought. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the chat. Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah. It's like their assistant doing the thing. But anyway, so like like you do. What we do is we focus on creating value bombs, right? So like this video that you're watching here, this whole thing is a massive value bomb, and like there's no better value bomb than to give away the best stuff for free, right? So we give our best ideas away for free. We give our best tips away for free. We give away all our insights for free, and give away our ads, and even our ads have these components in them, right? So we give away for free. So why can nobody beat Google, right? Well, how the hell do you make a better search engine for free? You can't. You can't make a better search engine for free.
Yeah.
You need I think the only thing that could beat Google would be like government funded, like with trillions of dollars or something, right? So once you create value bombs, you put value bombs, in your Facebook, in your Facebook group, in emails and SMS, and you just give it away. So for example, one of the guys in our program, in the automatic clients program, he was like, oh, but I got to save the best information for later when I sell them.
Right.
And I'm like, no, dude, just give it all away. Just give it all away. Who gives a shit? Just you're going to learn and innovate because things change anyway, right? So he's like, what do I sell him? I'm like, well, you help people implement. That's what you charge for, right? You give away the tips for free, right? And so what happens when you do that, like you get this surface relationship for $5. So a book buyer is just it's a curiosity buyer. They're like, oh, this is nice. It's a nice dollar book. It's $5. And then, an upsell, if they buy the upsell for $100, that, there's a little bit of a connection, right? And then like, once you start to develop an interpersonal deep connection, that's where, you can charge about $1,000, right? But once you become an advisor to that person, then it's like, that you can charge $5,000. So how do you accelerate this process, right? You engineer awareness and you just drop value bombs everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So just to kind of summarize this, I wanted to touch on a couple of points of like what's coming, because we talked about, transition periods and what's happening in the market. And so things are just going to continue in the same fashion. Like your market niche is going to continue to get oversaturated because, again, it is so easy to start. There's no barriers to entry. People can copy you so easily. I mean, I know so many guys that are in the Shopify business, right? And they have a product and is crushing it, and other people notice. So they just go to Facebook, they see what ads you're running, they go find the same supplier in China, and they copy your business literally overnight. There's no barrier to entry in that respect.
Right. What's up? So I want to say something really important here. What's coming next, right? Mm-hmm. So again, like I said before, like when I first started doing this, like it was literally like us in America, and like there was a few guys in the UK, like 1 or 2 guys in Canada. And that was it, right? That was it. And like, we all knew each other, right? Like, it was cool, like, right? Dude, now, like, I shit you not. Now it's like you're competing with people from China. You're like, here's what's happened. Like, you're competing with people from China. You're competing with people from Japan. You're competing with people from, like, South
Romania.
Korea. You're competing. Yeah. Dude, it's like, if you go to if you go to the JB Zoo marketplace, people from Nigeria are doing fucking launches. Yeah. It's like crazy. Like, you got people from like these, like, anywhere, like these countries you would never think would be in business online, they're in business online competing with you, right?
Yep.
And so that's just gonna go up and up and up and up and up. And that happens is like, I'm big into fitness, right? So like I was buying, I went on Amazon and I'm like, I gotta buy a bunch of water bottles, and I'm looking for like a laptop stand for my Peloton bike. Like I want to watch Netflix while I'm on a Peloton bike, and like, so I'm looking at these things on Amazon, and like what I'm noticing is like there's the guy that sells it, and then there's the people from China that are supplying them, selling it. And so there's this new thing happening on Amazon now, right? I don't know if I told you this, but like people in India, what they're doing is they're scraping Amazon, right? And they're scraping Walmart, and they're basically relisting things on Amazon and just ordering from Walmart and shipping it to you. So I bought some like fitness gadget like the other day from Amazon, and like Walmart delivers it. I'm like, what the hell, right? So it's like, it's just gonna keep happening more and more and more. Yeah. And the only way to sustain it is to like develop their relationship, build awareness, and do it. Like, what is it? Like my friend Eric, he said, brand, like something like, he said something interesting. He's like, brand is like building trust or something like that. So like, for example, like I only, use Nalgene bottles. So if I want a water bottle, I'm like Nalgene. I don't even think about other shit, right? And so like, that's what you want to do. That's why you want to offer value. That's why you want to have products that work, transformational programs, like everything has to be tip top shape, because it says a lot about you. So it doesn't matter, if somebody from some other country comes in your marketplace, whatever, your brand is your brand, and what other people say about you is the biggest thing. So like we call this, we're not going to touch upon this, but it's called symbols of credibility, right? And meaning like, it's like if you look at some of these guys, they're renting Lamborghinis and shit like that, like, trying to show off. That's fine. But the number one symbol of credibility is like, can the person use what you're teaching them, and can they get results? If they can, they'll trust you forever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's that, So yeah, like I mean, yeah, and we even see it with our own Facebook group. It's like, man, it's like you got all these people from all these countries joining, like Nigeria and shit like that, and it's like it's weird. Like I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool, but it's kind of like crazy at the same time,
Yeah, you have
Like
to level up everything that you're doing.
Yeah, you have to be that much better. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Yeah, well, just a couple more points here to drive home. Ad costs, they're based on supply and demand. So why would people all of a sudden stop trying to go into the market? It's going to continue to happen. So the cost of advertising is going to continue to go up. And the beauty of our model is you'll always be able to compete. The value of your products and services are going to continue to go down, not because the quality is going down, but because of the competition. If you hold your stuff in a vacuum, it's not going to compete because there's so many more people joining and there's more good quality stuff coming in. So you have to be
free.
on top of everything. Yeah, a lot of it is for free.
This is the other big thing I want to drive home. Like, I see, like I'm friends with some guys that are in the fitness space, whatever, and I was talking to them, and I was like, like the YouTube videos about fitness are actually better than your product.
Yeah.
So why the hell would anybody, like, if I can go watch YouTube videos and get like results, why would I pay for your product, right?
Yep.
Like, you got to think about it like that. Like, free stuff is better. What's interesting too about like YouTube and these other platforms, dude, it's like some of these guys have like 300,000 subscribers. Like, like if you like, or like 10 million subscribers, like that's how, like if you go to a city, 300,000 people, imagine like 3 stadiums, I guess, like, or whatever, right? Full of people. They're just paying attention to what you have to say. That's crazy to think about, right?
Yeah,
but the
huge.
thing that sucks about that is like the thing that sucks about that is to getting out there and like getting those subscribers to like organic means it's a lot of work, right? And it's like it's going to be harder because again, like too many people doing it. Like it's much better to actually buy celebrity. And like one thing I know, Robert, like when we started running YouTube ads, like you said, people would like recognize you randomly and shit, right?
Yeah, YouTube for branding is crazy. Dude, one more thing on that. Like the other thing that's having, if my business and my life revolved on having 10 million subscribers on YouTube, I would be scared shitless because I know how easy it is to just get banned from a platform. Like you could just, make one video, whatever, that says the wrong thing, and then boom, like your life's work is gone. So it's generally not something we like. But yeah, to continue here, attention span is going to just keep decreasing because of the volume of content, et cetera, that's coming out. Ad networks are going to continue to be stricter and stricter, and copying others, as these softwares, et cetera, is coming out, it's just going to continue to get easier and easier. So this is why we stress the importance of doing really quality stuff and then having a model that's actually going to allow you to do all these things on demand. And like Alan was saying, like you literally just buy fame. I mean, fame is just attention, right? It's like people knowing who you are. And if you're able to run ads for one product for 2 years, like people are going to know who you are.
yeah, exactly.
So we want to transition a little bit over to just kind of the value exchange that goes on. So one of the things that you've said, Alan, is business is an exchange of value. And if that's true, which it is, then we must accelerate that exchange of value. So I'll put this slide up and maybe you want to elaborate on that a bit.
Yeah, so I mean, all businesses is just it's an exchange of value. Like you give, like you work, like let's say for example, you have a job, you earn $10, and I create something. It takes me the same amount of time, and like you give me $10, and I give you the thing, right? So it's like we're exchange. Ultimately, what people are doing, they're just exchanging value, right? That's the exchange of value. The thing though, it's like people have this thing where it's like they just feel like they gotta take, right? But it's like if all the stuff out there is free, like content, and it's really good, then it's like why would they give you money if they can get the tips for free, right? So like what we found was like you have to move this needle back, meaning like you have to give a lot more value before you can ask for any money, right? And so that's why like we do value bombs. And the other thing is like you have to treat people like if somebody gives you $5 or $5,000 or $25,000, you got to treat them the same, right? You have to treat them good, like you have to help them because everybody counts, and you don't know out of that lot who's gonna be the $5,000 buyer, right? You never know. And so most of the marketplace, they give a little bit of value like in form of a fucking ad that's like, hey, here's a tip, whatever, and then like buy my stuff, right? Or like sign up for something for free and they try to trick you into buying.
Yeah.
What we do is we say, hey, like let's not just give away a little bit of value, let's give everything away for free. Fuck it, let's give it away. Everything in our brains, let's give it away, right? And then people, when they did, it's kind of like tricky because like they're like, oh man, it's like they're just like, this is kind of weird, like I'm not used to this, right? And they're like here's how crazy it is. The people in the automatic clients program now, like they text us, they're like, thank you for giving me a chance to be in this, and then they're like bringing their friends into the program. It's like weird, like I've never seen this before, but it works.
Yeah, just overload on value.
Here's one more thing, because here's the reality, right? Like, what are we doing? What are we really doing here, right? We're selling, like, here I am, like, okay, look, I'm on my couch. I have my dog next to me as my armrest, and like there's the other dog there. My feet are on my table. I have my coffee next to me, and we're creating content, right? Like it's like that's it. It's like I'm not out there doing a job. I'm not working. I'm enjoying this, right? So it's like, and like what I can do is I can create this content and I can duplicate it like infinitely. It doesn't cost anything, right?
Yeah.
And impact more people. Like that doesn't cost me anything. So why would I put a premium on it, right? Why? But the thing is, like, what I would put a premium on is the implementation, where my time comes. Like if I got to sit there and work with somebody, that's going to cost because I can't get any more time. But this stuff right here, we can create for days,
Yeah, and one point I wanted to drive home as well is, we talk a lot about like free, but we charge $5 for a lot of the things that we sell. So I wanted to clarify why that is and how that works. We're not necessarily saying that you should go out there and give away all your stuff for free. All we're talking about is the value of exchange and basically how much value you're giving away. So we could have turned this thing into a $997 course and sold it with a webinar. But
easy, yeah.
We were saying,
maybe not with a webinar.
Right. But the point is, right, like we want to tip the scale in a way where the value that you're providing is highly sort of you're paying a lot less than what you're getting. That's the whole idea.
Right, a lot less, exactly. Yeah.
A lot less. So one other thing that sort of, what's up?
I just want to talk about like one thing in value. Like, so like I have like 3 gym memberships, right? Like locally. And like one of the gyms is like, I think like $20, right? Like that I go to, right? And what's crazy is like I go to the gym and like, dude, like they have this sauna that's like a $30,000 sauna there. They have these like machines that cost like $7,000 each. I'm literally using like $2 million worth of equipment for like $20. And I'm just like, and like people, like some people are like, oh, that's too much money. I'm going to go to the other gym that's like $10, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just like, are you fucking crazy? Like what world are you living in, And then like other thing is like for example, people are like, iPhone is so expensive now. Or like whatever, right? Well, it's like, yeah, but like what I can do, like I can FaceTime my sister across the world, right? Like I listen to books on this. I listen to music. I take photos with it. It's actually really fucking cheap for what it is,
Yeah.
So like the value's there, man. And like the world's it's becoming an interesting place where more and more value is being shared. And like if you're not sharing value, you're gonna get left behind. Like you and I talked about this, right? Like for example, like if you go to the gym, you see all these like super fit young people, right? Like Jack, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, why is that? And because like you go on YouTube and get a bunch of fitness tips and like, get your diet right, get your working out right, get all this advice, right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I'm like that too. Like so, what I'm doing now, well, like one of my big things is like I'll follow people and like so, like I'll actually like hit up people that are like, I don't know if I told you this, but like for example, like people that compete in the Mr. Olympia, like not like the current guys, but the guys from the 90s, like or 80s, or like Tom Platz or like these like super, like famous, like, bodybuilders, right? And I'll go on Instagram, I'll just DM them or email them and be like, hey, can I buy like 1 to 2 hours of your time for a few $100s? I just want to ask you some advice about like this exercise or that exercise or some food. And they're like, yeah, sure. You pay them, you get on the phone and you talk to them, and then you're getting like, I mean, how crazy is it to be able to get advice from like the best of the best in the world?
Yeah.
for next to nothing, right?
Yeah, they're available.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, let's continue.
All right, so just to continue on this, one point that we have been talking about a lot, and that's going to be sprinkled out throughout this whole course, is this whole idea of like actual problem solving, like actually providing value. So one of the things that we find is a lot of people come to us with a marketing approach as opposed to a problem solving approach. So that can be really devastating. So if you look at, a business, like you could have all these different circles, and what we find is like, especially when you've been getting on calls with people, and like a lot of them are focused on this part, right? That we put in color. It's like marketing and sales and advertising and like.
Yeah.
So what are those calls been like? Is this how people come into the call, like they're asking like, how do I sell this, or like?
Yeah, so we have a process we call the worksheet process. We haven't really talked about it yet. We're going to talk about it later. But it's like most courses out there are based on like
just consuming videos, like this.
Yeah, like watching a bunch of videos and shit like that, and like not doing. What we do is we don't do that. We have like worksheets, right? We have something like 30, 40 worksheets, and like people have to fill these worksheets. The main worksheet we have is like called the onboarding worksheet, and it's like 40 pages. So after they fill it out, it's like 120 pages, right? And like what we do is that's where we extract components out of them, right? So whenever people are creating those worksheets, like every single answer is like the marketing or sales, right? And it's like I had this one guy, like, it's a very smart guy, did like millions of dollars online. He's in a program, and he's like, I'm like, well, what's your disruptive idea, superpower? He's like, I can do this, I can do that. And I'm like, oh God. I'm like, no. It's like, no. And then like it took me forever. I'm like, listen, you gotta shut off that marketing brain, shut off that sales brain, because that's like marketing and sales are a component of business. They're not the business. Like a business doesn't exist to market and sell shit. Right? I mean, it does, but it's like that's not the core.
Start there, yeah.
Yeah, you have to. So go to the next slide. So what we do is like we focus on this area, problem solving, right? And that's where now it's like all the value bombs, everything like creating value and everything starts. It's like, what's the problem you solve? So with automatic clients, we're solving the problem of like, of course, everybody wants to, travel, be free, make $1 million and sell high ticket stuff, right?
Yep.
Problem is like getting clients is very hard.
Yep.
Like very fucking difficult to get clients, right? I'm like, oh, look, we have a process for getting clients for free, and you can get a shit ton of them for free, right? That's the problem. And then we created like this amazing system for doing it, right? And now we can go market and sell the shit out of it, right? Because our system can back it up. And anybody that comes into the group, anybody that comes into the program, you're not going to find one bad review about it, right? Not one. Like even with the 2-hour agency, we don't have one single bad review. We've had like our refund rate is so fucking low. Like I'm in a bunch of masterminds, and like one guy there does really well, and like his whole speech was like, I built my business because I gotta we're all about like mitigating chargebacks and refunds and shit. And I'm just like, what? I'm like, I haven't, like, we've had one chargeback maybe like in a year.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, I forgot about chargebacks. That's kind of crazy. It's like you just forget about these things. Like people, don't refund. Like it's insane, And so once you focus on problem solving, like everything else takes care of itself, And it becomes way better, man, way better.
Yeah.
But
another thing
to do that.
Yeah. So go ahead.
What you got to do is you got to disconnect the marketing and sales brain. You literally cannot think about it. Like it's almost to the point where like it doesn't exist. Okay. What's a problem that you solve for one person, right? So let's say if somebody wants to lose weight, how do you help that person lose weight? If somebody wants to, like, for example, get more mortgage leads, like Nick is helping them out, then you focus on one mortgage broker. And then once you have a system for that one person, you just duplicate it for everybody else.
Yeah. And another big reason why this needs to be the foundation of everything is like if you're actually building, because look, there's a lot of people out there that are successful that do it this way. They come up with something that I know I can sell this. It doesn't really work, but I can sell the shit out of it, right? So they build their business off of that. Then what happens is they start getting a bit of success and it works, but they don't want to add fuel to the fire because now they start getting scared, right? They start thinking about, in some cases, maybe it's even a scammy thing where it's like, I might get sued. Number 2, I'm not going to want to put my name on it. Number 3, I'm not going to want to go all in on it and start, putting my face out there, build a community around what I've been doing. So you end up sort of holding yourself back. So it can be really, even if you make it work in the beginning, you're not going to put the kind of effort into it in the long run that you would if you started with, if you built the whole foundation around actually solving somebody's problem. Like Alan, like you don't even like to do this stuff ideally, like the whole guruing thing and like coaching and training, but you know that you're helping the shit out of a lot of people's, a lot of people have a problem, right? And they come to us and you're helping them.
Yep.
And I can see it in you that it's like, you love to help them. You don't necessarily like to like put your face out there and do all this, but because you're actually helping people, I can see how you kind of like warming up to it a bit, because you know that you're proud of this work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I have a history of like, and I'll be honest, like when I first started selling shit online, I just wanted to like make a bunch of money, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody else, right? And like, it's like it was just like, good, like the whole philosophy was like good enough is good enough, right? And like so like for many years, the whole thing was like, well, the product works, so fuck it if the customer doesn't use it, it's on them, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like it's like after a while you realize that like you can't like it doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. Like
it's not sustainable.
The best product wins, like iPhone dominates the marketplace because it's the best, right? Like I've tried using Androids, man. And like, I'm sorry to all the people that have Androids, but they fucking suck, man, So like, Android TVs are good, but it's like the best product wins, and that's it. It's simple. So yeah, like, I mean, even for me, it's like when you get people results, then like anybody out there, nobody can say shit to you, right?
Yep.
And like everybody will back you up. So like if like for example, even now, like if anybody comes to us and they're like, oh no, this shit works or this is not true or whatever, well fuck, go tell that to the people that we work with and see what they say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the other big problem you have is like people, will say this doesn't work, that doesn't work. Well, how the fuck do you know you didn't do it? You know what I mean?
Yep.
You didn't do it. Like if you do it and it doesn't work, then argue. Like one thing we have we have in automatic clients is we have a channel on our Slack called anti-automatic clients, right? And what that is, like, we encourage everybody to challenge all our ideas. Like we say, if you don't think something works that we talk about, then come in this channel and talk shit. It's like a free talk shit channel where anybody can come in and they can talk shit and say, here's why you suck, here's why this doesn't work, here's this bad idea. And that's good because like it helps us get better, right? And so like we learn a lot like that. And so far I don't think we've had anybody actually like in automatic clients come in there and talk anything, but
we're ready.
Yeah, like I said, like I mean, I'd love for that to happen. I'd love for like some guys who are like out there like did well with webinars, whatever, to come in there and challenge us. I'm like, fine, we'll let's see how that works.
Yeah.
The other thing is like, here's the other thing, right? This is the reality, right? I'm not gonna mention any names, but like there's guys out there who sell there's this one guy out there, he sold like I think 6,000 packages of teaching people how to build a business with a webinar, right? This year. That's fine. That's good numbers, right? A lot of money. But the problem is like he only has like a handful of success stories, right? So if you have a handful of success stories out of 6,000 people that paid you like $5,000, something's fucking wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like if there's like even like there's other platforms I'm gonna mention. They have hundreds of thousands of customers, right? I mean, of course, I'm sure if you do thinking, what they are, but they have a handful of success stories. And what they do is they'll take these like outliers, right? They'll take these guys who did really well, who got lucky, right? And they'll be like, these are, look at how successful they are. Yeah. It's like, that's not good enough, man. Because like the thing is like, if you look at, for example, Apple, right? When Apple creates the iPhone, and if a consumer can't figure it out, does Apple say, well, fuck the consumer, it's on them? No, they figure it out. They make it work, right? Or like, I don't know, like any good company, like you don't have like a car company that makes a seat awkward and a wheel to like the left, so you're driving this awkward position, and then like the customers complain, they're like, well, fuck, just slide over to the left, it's your fault, right? They don't do that. They solve the problem. You have to solve the problem. So business is ultimately about just helping people out, solving problems. It's like what is that? No man is an island to himself. So it's interesting, dude. Like I like I work from home, and it's like I order groceries and shit like that. I'm so like grateful. I'm like, this is crazy. Like somebody built an app, right? Somebody solved this problem or built an app, and I'm like, I want to eat steak today, so I just like click 2 buttons, and I had like grass-fed ribeye delivered.
Yep.
Like it's nuts. So problem solving, right? I'm doing my Peloton bike, and I'm watching like this shit that somebody spent millions of dollars, so I can watch it for like $10 a month or something on Netflix, whatever. So problem solving. But like there's a lot of guys out there that are like just focused heavily on marketing and sales. And again, like I did it for many years. I'm not proud of it. You can make a shit ton of money, but and the litmus test is basically like, would you put your name on it, and would you put your name on it, and would
Well,
you
could
put
you
your
see this
face?
company running for another 5, 10 years? I think is another big one.
Yeah. So our big litmus test of everything, like everything we have to do, it has to be it has to run for 10 plus years, because I've built a lot of cash flow rich businesses online, like a lot, right? And it's great. Like what happens, like you started, they make a shit ton of money, and then they continue, right? Because like ultimately you got to solve somebody's problem. They got to come in and keep buying stuff from you. Like even with automatic clients, like we have a level that's invite only after they make $10,000 a month, and then like after they join it, they see success, then you invite them to the higher level, like where it's called digital dark labs. And it's like there's this whole idea about like we'll talk about it later. It's like how like there's like the dark parts of the internet, and like how there's like really sick skills out there being used to make money online, but you can use them for good. And so like that's the thing. Like people are like lining up to that now, but we're like, nah, you got to hit certain numbers with that, then we'll open the doors later after we get done with that. So that's it for this. Is there any more slides after this?
Yeah, well, I just want to give some quick examples. So everybody saw this Fire Festival thing, right? It was all based on
Oh yeah.
hype. It was all based on influencers posting on
Yeah.
Instagram, etc.
Marketing and sales. Yeah. All
Exactly.
marketing and sales.
Yeah. So it's all focused on selling the ticket, and it wasn't actually focused on solving a problem. Like it was all sell, sell, sell. So if you can do that and have an awesome product, great. In this case, it was terrible, and they're bankrupt. They're in a bunch of lawsuits, bunch of debt.
Still.
That guy's probably going to jail, and it was a huge flop, right? And then you have Tomorrowland. They were like, okay, well, we need a festival that's only for like EDM, like only electronic dance music, whatever.
Yep.
And so they started that a couple of years ago. They're running it, they're growing it every single year. 2019, they sold 400,000 tickets, and this is over 2 weekends. That's it. They have 2 events, right? Over 2 weekends,
Yep.
back to back, 400,000 tickets sold. And I've been to it. I've been to the one in the States, Tomorrow World. It's absolutely sick, and it's a great example of what a
Like
good product should be.
Like $65 million each event.
Yeah, that's
Right.
just the ticket, man. Like
Yeah.
you're spending days inside of this camp, so you're spending a lot more money there once you're in. Another one is Juicero. So this is one of those like San Francisco companies, and I think there's articles like this. This is just an example of like everything that's wrong with San Francisco. So they built this juicer, right? You buy these packets of fresh juice, you put them into this $400 machine. I believe it was $700 at one point, and then it turns out that these packages that are delivered to you, you could literally just squeeze it with your hands and the juice would come out. Overnight, boom, company goes bankrupt. They had about $120 million worth of financing. And that dude who founded this company, he's onto some other scam now. He's selling like raw water. I was Googling his name.
And you can see a lot of these fuckers on Kickstarter, right? Like I know a few, like their
Yeah.
entire like what's
It's
it?
just a
Like I know,
gimmick, just selling gimmicks.
yeah, I know a few guys like that. That's all they do is like they're just on fucking Kickstarter, like kickstarting shit and like never delivering, like nothing, right? And so like with this thing, like with Juicero, like these fuckers, what they wanted to do is like sell you this, overpriced thing that costs probably like $20 to make in China, right? And then what they want to do is they want to, force you to buy these stupid packets, right? They only work on this thing,
Yep.
and people are like, fuck it, like just get the packets. Don't need the $700 thing, or you can just get juice anywhere, right? And so what about this Instant Pot?
Yeah, so then you have an Instant Pot. I know you're raving about it, Alan, because you're using it every single day, and it's just an $80
Yeah.
product. It works amazing, right? You're literally using
Yeah.
it every single day. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm curious, right? Because you were talking about it. So we checked it out. 44,574 reviews with a 5 out of 5 rating. And like 1 out of 20 people leave reviews. So, you do the math on
Yeah.
how many sales that is. So I Googled their valuation, $556 million. Based on a fucking good product. That's it.
Yeah, dude, this product is so good. Like I bought it for like 3 people. Like I bought one from my uncle, bought one for my sister, bought one for my mom. Like I bought like I bought like 4 of these, right? So it's like, I bought a lot of these, and it's I'm just like, damn, I can't believe this thing's like $80. I would have gladly paid a few $100s for it.
Yep.
But that's the point. That's the point, right? Now, like if this company comes up with something else, and like they got me, I'm a fucking customer.
Yeah. So that's
One thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I want to say that's really interesting is like I've noticed as shopping, as far as like problem solving marketing bullshit, like a lot of these I got into water, right? So like I started like researching water pitchers, and a lot of these like water pitcher companies, like if you go to their website, they have these like little review apps, like all nothing but great reviews, right? But then
Yeah.
if you go on their Amazon, they have like really shit reviews because
Right.
Amazon doesn't let them fuck around, right?
Yeah.
So like, so like, if you go to Amazon, the reviews are good. The reviews are good. They're not like manipulated, you know?
Yeah. So basically, the big point that we want to make here is number one is like you don't want to be in the content game as your whole business. Like that's just going to burn you out, and you're competing with just crazy content. You want to have, you don't want to do the rain dance to get water. You want to have the crane. So we're going to be showing you how to do that. And the other thing is just like, when you're building this business, like you have to come at it from the starting point of like, okay, how can I help some people? And you don't necessarily have to know right now, but if your first thought is like, what can I sell, as opposed to like, how can I help? That's gonna play out in, you're gonna either have a very short-lived business or perhaps one that lives on for a very long time and has, 45,000 positive reviews, like very, very different types of businesses. So that's it for this video. Alan, anything to add before we wrap this one up?
No, let's thank the next video.
Sounds good. All right, we'll see you in the next video.